Sorry, on mute. Good morning, California. I've been to California a few times. Palm Springs. I've been to San Francisco. I've been to Palm Springs once, twice, 3 times. Been to Palm Springs 3 times. I love Palm Springs. It's so beautiful there. All right, girls. Well, it's August 22nd. The Lord's refining furnace. Ezekiel 22, 17 through 22. I'm struggling to focus this morning, so I'm hoping I can read without stumbling over my everything. Then this message came to me from the Lord. Son of man, the people of Israel are worthless slag that remains after silver is smelted. They are the dross that is left over, a useless mixture of copper, tin, iron, and lead. So tell them, this is what the sovereign Lord says, because you are all worthless slag, I will bring you to my crucible in Jerusalem. Just as silver, copper, iron, and lead and tin are melted down in a furnace, I will melt you down in the heat of my fury. I will gather you together and blow the fire of my anger upon you, and you will melt like silver in fierce heat. Then you will know that I, the Lord, have poured out my fury on you. The sins of Israel's leaders, Ezekiel 22, 23 through 31. Again, a message came to me from the Lord. Son of man, give the people of Israel this message. In the day of my indignation, you will be like polluted land, a land without rain. Your princes plot conspiracies just as lions stalk their prey. They devour innocent people, seizing treasures and extorting wealth. They make many widows in the land. Your priests have violated my instructions and have defiled my holy things. They make no distinction between what is holy and what is not, and they do not teach my people the difference between what is ceremonially clean and unclean. They disregard my Sabbath days so that I am dishonored among them. Your leaders are like wolves who tear apart their victims. They actually destroy people's lives for money, and your prophets cover up for them by announcing false visions and making lying predictions. They say, my message is from the sovereign Lord, when the Lord hasn't spoken a single word to them. Even common people oppress the poor, rob the needy, and deprive foreigners of justice. I looked for someone who might rebuild the wall of righteousness that guards the land. I searched for someone to stand in the gap in the wall so I wouldn't have to destroy the land. But I found no one. So now I will pour out my fury on them, consuming them with a fire of my anger. I will heap on their heads the full penalty for all of their sin. I, the sovereign Lord, have spoken. To the adultery of two sisters, Ezekiel 23, 1 through 21. This message came to me from the Lord. Son of man, once there were two sisters who were daughters of the same mother. They became prostitutes in Egypt. Even as young girls, they allowed men to fondle their breasts. The older girl was named Ahola, and her sister was named Aholibah. I married them, and they bore me sons and daughters. I am speaking of Samaria and Jerusalem, for Ahola is Samaria and Aholibah is Jerusalem. Then Ahola lusted after other lovers instead of me, and she gave her love to Assyrian officers. They were all attractive young men, captains and commanders dressed in handsome blue, charioteers driving their horses. And so she prostituted herself with the most desirable men of Assyria, worshiping their idols and defiling herself. For when she left Egypt, she did not leave her spirit of prostitution behind. She was still as lewd as in her youth, when the Egyptians slept with her, fondled her breasts, and used her as a prostitute. And so I handed her over to the Assyrian lovers, whom she desired so much. They stripped her, took her away her children as slaves, and then killed her. After she received her punishment, her reputation was known to every woman in the land. Yet even though Aholibah saw what had happened to Ahola, her sister, she followed right in her footsteps. And she was even more depraved, abandoning herself to her lust and prostitution. She fawned over all the Assyrian officers, those captains and commanders in handsome uniforms, those charioteers driving their horses, all of them attractive young men. I saw the way she was going, defiling herself just like her older sister. Then she carried her prostitution even further. She fell in love with pictures that were painted on a wall, pictures of Babylonian military officers outfitted in striking red uniforms. Handsome belts encircled their waists, and flowing turbans crowned their heads. They were dressed like chariot officers from the land of Babylonia. Then she saw these paintings. She longed to give herself to them, so she sent messengers to Babylonia to invite them to come over to her. So they came and committed adultery with her, defiling her bed in love. After being defiled, however, she rejected them in disgust. In the same way, I became disgusted with Oholibah and rejected her, just as I had rejected her sister, because she flaunted herself before them and gave herself to satisfy their lusts. She turned even greater prostitution, remembering her youth when she was a prostitute in Egypt. She lusted after her lovers, with genitals as large as donkeys and emissions like those of horses. Why is it never Cindy Wetzel when we get to this verse? Why is it never Cindy Wetzel who gets to read this section? Why did I not write it down last year that August 22nd is Cindy Wetzel's day to read devotions instead of mine? And so, Aholibah, you relived your former days as a young girl in Egypt when you first allowed your breasts to be fondled. August 22nd, Cindy does devotions. August 22nd. Remember that, KJ. The Lord's judgment of Aholibah, Ezekiel 23, 22 through 35. Therefore, Aholibah, this is what the sovereign Lord says. I will send your lovers against you from every direction. Those very nations from which you turned away in disgust. For the Babylonians will come with all the Chaldeans from Pekod and Shoa and Koa, and all the Assyrians will come with them, handsome young captains, commanders, chariot officers, and other high-ranking officers, all riding their horses. They will come against you from the north, with chariots, wagons, and a great army prepared for attack. They will take up positions on every side, surrounding you with men armed with shields and helmets. And I will hand you over to them for punishment, so they can do with you as they please. I will turn my jealous anger against you, and they will deal harshly with you. They will cut off your nose and ears, and any survivors will be slaughtered by the sword. Your children will be taken away as captives, and everything that is left will be burned. They will strip you of your beautiful clothes and jewels. In this way, I will stop the lewdness and prostitution you brought from Egypt. You will never again cast longing eyes on those things or fondly remember your time in Egypt. For this is what the sovereign Lord says: I will surely hand you over to your enemies, to those you loathe, those you rejected. They will treat you with hatred and rob you of all you own, leaving you stark naked. The shame of your prostitution will be exposed to all the world. You brought all this on yourself by prostituting yourself to other nations, defiling yourself with all their idols. Because you have followed in your sister's footsteps, I will force you to drink the same cup of terror she drank. This is what the sovereign Lord says: You will drink from your sister's cup of terror, a cup that is large and deep. It is filled to the brim with scorn and derision. Drunkenness and anguish will fill you, for your cup is filled to the brim with distress and desolation, the same cup your sister Samaria drank. You will drain that cup of terror to the very bottom, then you will smash it to pieces and beat your breasts in anguish. I, the sovereign Lord, have spoken. And because you have forgotten me and turned your back on me, this is what the sovereign Lord says: You must bear the consequences of all your lewdness and prostitution. The Lord's judgment on both sisters, Ezekiel 23, 36 through 49. The Lord said to me, Son of man, you must accuse Aholah and Aholibah of all their detestable sin. They have committed both adultery and murder: adultery by worshiping idols, and murder by burning as sacrifices the children they bore to me. Furthermore, they have defiled my temple and violated my Sabbath day. On the very day that they sacrificed their children to idols, they boldly came into my temple to worship. They came in and defiled my house. You sisters sent messengers to distant lands to get men. Then, when they arrived, you bathed yourselves, painted your eyelids, and put on your finest jewelry for them. You sat with them on beautifully embroidered couch and put on incense and my special oil on a table that was spread before you. From your room came the sound of many men carousing. They were lustful men and drunkards from the wilderness who put bracelets on your wrists and beautiful crowns on your heads. Then I said, if they really want to have sex with old worn-out prostitutes like these, let them. And that is what they did. They had sex with Aholah and Aholibah, these shameless prostitutes. But righteous people will judge these sister cities for what they really are: adulterers and murderers. Now, this is what the sovereign Lord says: Bring an army against them and hand them over to be terrorized and plundered. For their enemies will stone them and kill them with swords. They will butcher their sons and daughters and burn their homes. In this way, I will put an end to lewdness and idolatry in the land, and my judgment will be a warning to all women not to follow your wicked example. You will be fully repaid for your prostitution, your worship of idols. Yes, you will suffer the full penalty. Then you will know that I am the sovereign Lord. The Sledge of Jerusalem, 2 Kings 24:20b through 25, verse 2. Zedekiah rebelled against the king of Babylon. So on January 15th, during the 9th year of Zedekiah's reign, King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon led his entire army against Jerusalem. They surrounded the city and built siege ramps against its walls. Jerusalem was kept under siege until the 11th year of King Zedekiah's reign. Jeremiah 52:3b through 5. Zedekiah rebelled against the king of Babylon. So on January 15th, during the 9th year of Zedekiah's reign, King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon led his entire army against Jerusalem. They surrounded the city and built siege ramps against its walls. Jerusalem was kept under siege until the 11th year of King Zedekiah's reign. Jeremiah 39, verse 1. In January of the 9th year of King Zedekiah's reign, King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon came with his entire army to besiege Jerusalem. The sign of the cooking pot, Ezekiel 24:1 through 14. On January 15th, during the 9th year of King Jehoiachin's captivity, this message came to me from the Lord. Son of man, write down today's date, because on this very day, the king of Babylon is beginning to attack against Jerusalem. Then give these rebels an illustration with this message from the sovereign Lord. Put a pot on the fire and pour in some water. Fill it with choice pieces of meat, the rump and the shoulder, and all the most tender cuts. Use only the best sheep from the flock, and heap fuel on the fire beneath the pot. Bring the pot to boil, and cook the bones along with the meat. Now this is what the sovereign Lord says. What sorrow awaits Jerusalem, the city of murderers? She is a cooking pot whose corruption can't be cleared out. Take the meat out in random order, for no piece is better than another. For the blood of her murders is splashed on the rocks. It's even on the ground, where the dust could cover it. So I will splash her blood on a rock for all to see, an expression of my anger and vengeance against her. This is what the sovereign Lord says. What sorrow awaits Jerusalem, the city of murderers? I myself will pile up the fuel beneath her. Yes, heap on the wood. Let the fire roar to make the pot boil. Cook the meat with many spices, and afterward burn the bones. Now set the empty pot on the coals. Heat it red hot. Burn away the filth and corruption. But it's hope. So the fire, your impurity is your idolatry. I tried to cleanse you, but you refused. So now you will remain in your filth until my fury against you has been satisfied. I, the Lord, have spoken. The time has come, and I won't hold back. I will not change my mind, and I will have no pity on you. You will be judged on the basis of all your wicked actions, says the sovereign Lord. Let me just go ahead and pull up my calendar for 2026, August 21st. New event. Ask Cindy to do tomorrow's devotions. And scheduled. I'm going to look at that and go, I wonder why. But I need to trust myself. It's Cindy's turn. Oh, my Lanta. I'll be thinking about that all day. Susan. Next year, I'm going to go to her and say, I don't know why, but I have this in my book. Can you do devotions tomorrow? And I won't even remember. All right. We're on page 134. Read more of Paul's words found in 2 Corinthians 4:17 through 18. For our light and momentary troubles are achieving for us an eternal glory that far outweighs them all. So we fix our eyes not on what is seen, but on what is unseen, since what is seen is temporary, but what is unseen is eternal. How can Paul call his troubles light and momentary when he has suffered so much for the cause of Christ? In 2 Corinthians 11:23 through 28, Paul gives an account of some of the things he endured and suffered. Among them are extensive and abundant labors, multiple imprisonments and beatings with countless stripes and frequently to the point of death. 5 times the Jews beat him with 39 stripes. 3 times he was beaten with rods and once even stoned. 3 times he was shipwrecked at sea. Many times he was on a treacherous journey and experienced perils from rivers and bandits, from Jews and from the Gentiles. He experienced perils in the city, in the desert places, and in the sea. He experienced perils from those posing as believers, in toils and hardships, sleepless nights, hunger, thirst, cold, exposure, and lack of clothing. Along with all of that, he could never get away from his daily inescapable pressure of his care and anxiety of all the churches. Even still, he called these sufferings light and momentary troubles. I believe he called them light and momentary because of the contrast in comparison to the greatness of our reward for enduring our trials with faith. He experienced a glimpse into the rewards that would be ours for our faithfulness to God in this life. Paul was confident, even after all he experienced, to say that none of what he suffered was even worthy to be compared to the glory of what would be revealed in us. Paul declared with confidence that the troubles we endure are achieving for us an eternal glory that far outweighs them all. Therefore, Paul said to us, fix our eyes not on what is seen, but on what is unseen, since what is seen is temporary and what is unseen is eternal. He was saying to look beyond the moment. Don't look at the temporary trials, battles, struggles, and heartaches, for these shall pass. Look to what we can see in the Spirit by faith, for those things are eternal. What about these verses in Paul's writing brought you hope and comfort? Write a praise offering. Use the content of Romans 8:17 through 18 and 2 Corinthians 4:17 through 18. Remember, this too shall pass. Rejoice. Difficult times are temporary. God is mindful of you every moment of every day, and He will take care of you. He will work out the details and order your steps. He will open the right doors and shut the wrong ones. He knows exactly where you are, and He will reward you for your faithfulness. Read Psalms 139, 1 through 3. O Jehovah, thou hast searched me and known me. Thou knowest my downsitting and mine uprising. Thou understandest my thought afar off. Thou searchest out my path and my lying down, and art acquainted with all of my ways. In your own thoughts about this verse, express why this is a comforting passage to you. Cindy. I'm making it happen next year. Last year, I vowed you were going to have to do it this year, and I forgot. Now I ain't forgetting next year. It's written in stone. Oh my goodness. Oh, fun. Tomatoes in a garden. I wish I had a garden. Actually, I don't, because I don't want to be out in the garden with bugs. I just wish I had piles of vegetables close to my house so that my fridge wasn't always empty of them because I run out and forget to go buy more, and I never have the fresh vegetables I need. Asking prayer this morning for peace of mind. Had a mammogram yesterday, come back normal. Have to have another one. Of course your mind is, Donna. That's perfectly normal that your mind is racing like that. We will definitely be praying for you and for that situation. I know that's scary. My very first mammogram, they found something, and I had to go back like 3 days later, and those 3 days were torturous. I mean, I was a mess of just anxiety, and so I know how stressful that is. And then for me, it was, nothing. And they monitored it for 2 years and it was nothing, but it was still, I know how scary that can be. So we're totally praying for you, Donna. All right, my friends, let's go ahead and end in prayer. God, our Father, we thank you for this day. Thank you for our time together. Thank you for each and every woman here that's joined devotions and comes together each morning collectively before you and worships and honors you. And I just pray that it blesses you. God, I pray for each woman here and the many concerns and struggles on their heart, some of them that they've brought and some that they've kept to themselves, but you know each and every one. God, we lift up Donna to you today and ask you to comfort her as she awaits the results and next steps for whatever is going on. And I just pray for clarity for the doctors and quick action and peace of mind and hope and peace for Donna today. God, I pray for the woman here who's struggling to lose weight, who's on this journey and struggling with sticking to it or even getting started. I just pray for your strength for them today. And for each of us, as we make choices throughout our day, help us to make choices that are honoring to you and heal our temple. In your precious name, amen. All right, my friends. That's cool, Rita. I see a lot of people doing that online. It looks really neat to have like freeze-dried tomato powder. Did I get bit or what is on my leg? Looks like I got bit by something. That I see a lot of people online. I would love to have a freeze dryer, like one of those big ones where you can put soups and oh man, I'd love to have that. I don't have the space for it here in my garage. I just don't have the space, but holy cow, 8:46. I gotta get going. I gotta be at the gym in 14 minutes. So I gotta go get my socks on and my deodorant. And I guess I'm going with no makeup today because I don't have time to go put my makeup on. So I'll have to do that after. All right. Love you girls. Hope you have a fabulous day and I'll see you all back tomorrow. Bye.